The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on 105.9 the FM KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central Valley. I am your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio each week here on 105.9 the FM KMJ. Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to the crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice, and that's exactly what you are going to hear every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 105.9 the FM KMJ. Thanks so much for joining us. Michelle, you have had way too much coffee, and we just barely left the airport.
I have.
You're biting your tongue.
I have. Yeah,
I've
had a couple cups today.
It's been a while since I've seen you this over percolated.
Sorry, I promised I would try to stay in check,
Timmer,
so Johnny doesn't have to cut me out of the
Timmer,
show.
watch her, please.
Tim's sharing a mic with me this morning.
Like a hawk.
We're snuggling.
Ask her to keep her hands on the table. Keep your hands where I can see them, please.
I know.
As always, it is so good to have my wacky special guest host, Michelle Pettiscavalli, in the studio with us, as well as Tim O'Hare, Valleywide Homes.
You see how he didn't even let me say thanks? He just skipped it on over to you.
It's safer that way.
It is.
It's just a whole lot safer.
Good morning,
that way.
Fresno.
Good morning, Craig.
Good morning,
Timmers.
Good morning. Thanks, both of you, for being here. Well, Real Estate Radio Network gives us, all three of us collectively, the opportunity to reach so many people efficiently for one full hour each and every week. Our collective goal at the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back home. Tim, what's up, dude? We're sharing a mic. You're supposed to go with me. Ready? Can we do that one more time, please?
So we can help bring you
back home.
Wow,
thanks,
that was
Tim.
good,
Wasn't
guys.
Stereo.
Just like you practiced it this week, all week at work. Huh? Well, we are so excited about today's show. We are going to have, or we have in the studio with us, Glenn Siemens, the owner and CEO and heir of the Siemens. You were saying this morning when we were talking the Siemens fortune, correct?
Well, I'm hoping so. You know, Siemens is the most cash-rich corporation in Germany, so since my last name is Siemens, I keep waiting for my inheritance check, but I haven't seen it yet.
Well, hope that goes good for you, Glenn.
I do. I'm praying about it every day.
Complain about it every day. Well, again, Glenn is the owner and CEO of Arise Solar. If you ever thought about going solar, well, Glenn is going to help get you in the know regarding the benefits of solar. What exactly is solar? Might sound kind of rudimentary and kind of basic. Solar, sun. Well,
that's where he got his name, Arise.
Yes.
Yeah,
the
solar.
Rise. Oh, play on words.
Play on words. You know how we love that.
She's smart. She catches on quick.
Now she's beaming.
Are you guys being facetious?
No. Okay, moving along. What exactly is solar, and can I afford solar? Well, Glenn is going to help answer those and many more questions. Make sure that you stay with us. If you have any real estate or real estate financing related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, call us anytime on our off-air number at 800-979-3958. We would so love to hear from you. You can also check out our resources online, and you can listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network on YouTube by going to our website at reofresnohomes.com, or to friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords, Friend Valleywide on Facebook. That's a new one.
That is new.
Friend Valleywide
I'm excited.
on Facebook.
I love Facebook.
Or use press 4 keyword
KMJ, call Valleywide.
Almost Mr. Q.
I did. I got you made me pause at Facebook.
You were so just stunned.
I was excited.
To get connected to us anytime, we would so love to hear from you. Well, you heard us say, or you heard us talk about press 4. Michelle, here you go. Press 4. Knock it out of the park.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. You put me on the spot like this last week, too.
Yeah.
Okay, Press 4. I love Press 4. Press 4 is my special app that I can push on my phone, and then it says, Press 4, keyword, and then I tell them what I want to
what you want.
seek out. So if I say KMJ, call Craig, it calls you. If I say KMJ, call Valleywide, it calls the office. If I say KMJ, hot property, it gives me information and sends me information in regards to
or if you say
our
Arise
hot
Solar.
property. And as
Arise
of today,
Solar.
effectively today, we will have KMJ, Arise Solar, and that will also send you information on how to get in contact with Arise Solar and get information on questions you have.
As well as a free quote.
Does it give him a free quote?
It will. You better believe it.
Oh, wow.
Right, Glenn?
You got it.
Nice.
Glenn's saying I'll take
He's
your
like,
word for
uh-oh. We better be ready for that.
Well, Press 4 really is truly, as Michelle says, one button for the rest of your life. And it's for all those times when you're away from your computer. Press 4 is a free app. All you have to do is go to the App Store, install it on your smartphone. And yes, as Michelle says, it does work on dumb phones as well. Just go to the Press 4 website and follow the easy setup instructions. And during our show, you're going to hear us say things like, to call into the show, just use Press 4 keyword, KMJ, call Valley-wide. And in this example, your phone will call our off-air number. One button really can do it all. All right, Michelle, we talked about today's hot property.
I'm about ready to ground our listeners. Seriously?
Is it really? It's all their fault?
I am astonished, okay, that this property has not moved.
Yeah.
It's starting to really hurt my feelings. I'm going to be visiting this property this week for an open house just because it hasn't moved.
Yeah.
The house and I are going to have a chat.
The house.
The house and I are going to have a chat.
We're going to have a talk.
It's a great location, great neighborhood, great floor plan and house, and you're really, truly a great floor plan. It's a really cool place.
And could really use some solar, too.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking so, too. And let me just tell you, the houses around this house are gorgeous. The yards are beautiful, beautiful flowers. I'm really disappointed that we have not had more interest in this house.
Yeah.
I'm shocked, actually, especially with the market the way it is. Somebody explain it to me.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see you all this week.
Well,
please check with me this week because I'm going to set that open house based on when you call me and say, hey, I can come at this time, Michelle. I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
And what is the address?
Well,
1188 West Ellery is the property.
Okay.
Built in 1969, zip code 93711. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 28 square feet. It is a 15,000+ square foot lot. Come on, guys. Really?
With a pool.
With a pool.
For crying out loud.
If I didn't already have a home, I would move in.
Well,
at least temporarily while it's selling, because it's
like we've mentioned on previous
pool.
shows. Yeah, it huge lot. This particular property has been updated.
It's great.
It is definitely a custom home amongst other custom homes, and I think really the appraised value on this particular one, I had mentioned last week on our show that I had spoken with the appraiser in depth. We originally had appraised at $270. We just had a 10% price reduction to $243. Someone is really going to get an amazing deal on this home. And it's interesting to note, it is eligible for owner, occupants, second home, and investors.
Right. Anybody.
So it's not just, being that it's a HUD property, it's not just eligible for owner occupants. HUD's main goal is to promote home ownership. Second home as well as investors, it's open to as well. So if you'd like more information about today's hot property, please give us a call anytime on our off-air number at 800-979-3958 or use Press 4 keyword
KMJ Hot Property.
And we'll send you more information about this hot property right to your phone. Look for more hot properties each week right here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Well, this next segment is a direct result of a conversation that Michelle and I had. We usually, at this particular point in time in the show, we talk about finding your new home and trying to simplify the home shopping process. Well, today we're going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to talk about, this is a conversation we really need to have. If you are thinking about listing your home or selling your home in today's market, let's talk about it. Why is it important, Michelle, to have this conversation? Putting you on the spot again?
Tim, he's putting me on the spot.
That's good for you.
Can you help me out, please? No. I'm going to be really frank in saying, last week we kind of joked about taking some of our clients to the picnics and whatnot because they've been looking for a while.
Right.
Inventory has decreased to the point where people really need to start thinking if that's something they're considering doing, now would be a great time to do it because of the volume of buyers out there.
Sure.
Not to mention there's so many folks out there who potentially are upside down or who don't know if they're upside down, who may just need to make a transition to maybe economics, a cheaper house payment, whatever, who are just sitting and waiting and not making a decision. Not making a decision is still making a decision. So we just recommend that people start doing some research. If that's something that they would like to consider, we want to make sure that we're available for that so they get accurate and timely information.
If you are suffering from analysis paralysis, it is extremely important that An analyzation, pluralization.
Stop making fun of me.
Okay,
I only said that like 3 times.
Hey, that was from like 8 shows ago. So
analysis paralysis. I've got it down now.
Okay. So if you are suffering from analysis paralysis because you don't really know where you're at and you've been paying attention to the negative news in the media, that your home is worth way, way less than it used to be 5 or 6 years ago, I'm just going to say this. Now is a great time to potentially sell a home. If you think it's going to be worth what it was worth 5 or 6 years ago, you will be unfortunately disappointed. This is a much different market. However, with inventory levels in Fresno County, just single-family residences hovering around, we have roughly 1,375 active listings in Fresno County, and it's trending right around 1,375 on a daily basis. It is putting upward pressure on prices.
And honestly, I had a conversation, and I think you and I spoke of it with a family member on Father's Day. Love you, cousin. Anyways, he was telling me, because we were discussing a little bit about the market and the short sales and whatnot, and his take on it, based on what he's heard in the news and people he's dealt with over the last couple of years, was short sales don't go. I started laughing, and I didn't want to laugh in his face.
But it's interesting that perception is still prevalent.
It is still prevalent, and I'm going to tell you, I had a short sale accepted the other day. We're off to the bank. It is running. We are moving. It is going. They are moving faster and more effectively than ever before. So people need to stop having that fear out there or that preconceived notion. Yeah, preconceived notion. Right. They really need to get their information for today. And we've always talked about the ebb and flow of the market and how things are changing daily.
Right.
This is one of the things that this year we've seen legislation come in and affect change. And we're really, our market has dramatically changed based on that.
Right.
Our short sales are moving along.
There are statistics show, as we've discussed before, that on a short sale nationally, the trend is that you'll net roughly 23-26% more on a short sale. And that's when you're thinking, as an institutional investor that's having to short their payoff, wouldn't you rather, if the statistics were there that said that if you approve a short sale, there's a greater likelihood you're going to net more money when the day is done than actually go through the process of foreclosure, judicial foreclosure, or whatever process foreclosure that applies in that particular state. And you're going to net way less money?
Yeah. And another thing,
yeah,
the short sale, I think people probably have a misnomer that it's going to affect their credit for a long period of time. Now, if you're paying as agreed up until the short sale actually sells, once that property sells, you can get into another home 12 months later. So it's not treated as a true foreclosure of 7 years. So the client can actually move into a newer home in a year from now. So
that's huge. Yeah,
a lot of benefit out there. These banks and the market, they're wanting to correct. So let's move it along. And like I said, if you're not making a decision, it's still a decision. So at least get some research done. At least get some basic information from us. Give us a shout, and we can give you some information.
At least to find out where you're at. And if you would like us to help, we can put you in contact with Michelle. Just call our off-air number anytime, 800-979-3958. Or if you have any real estate or real estate financing related questions, again, regarding the information that you hear on the show, call us anytime, 800-979-3958, or you can check out our resources online and listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network on YouTube by going to our website at reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords, friend Valleywide on Facebook, or use Press 4 keywords,
KMJ, call Valleywide.
To get connected to us anytime. We would love to hear from you. Well, after the break, here comes our superstar. We've got, again, Glenn Simons, the owner and CEO of Arise Solar, here in the studio with us. If you've ever thought about going solar, well, Glenn is going to help get you, again, in the know regarding the benefits of solar, what exactly solar is, and can I afford it? We're going to answer those and many more questions. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley White help. Valley White Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free 800-979-3958 and put the seasoned professionals at Valley White Homes to work for you. Valley White Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, before the break, we told you that we are going to talk about solar. And we've got Glenn Siemens, the owner and CEO of Arise Solar, in the studio with us. Glenn, good morning. Thanks for getting up with us, buddy.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
I think he was up before the sun today. I'm just teasing.
Wow.
I don't have a drum. I need a drum.
That is shameless, right?
I know. There. I have to have it.
That's why we bring Michelle along.
I know. The sun will come
Right, yeah. All righty. Again, good morning, Glenn. So, Glenn, it's so important. Obviously, this is, and I don't want to say this is kind of a quote-unquote trendy topic, but I tell you what, there is so much conversation that's going on in the market right at the moment, and has been for a while. You know, solar in terms of an industry has just, I don't want to say blossomed, but it has exploded. Business for you is very, very good. You had mentioned when we had spoken a few weeks ago, you're in the top 5 in terms of solar installers in Fresno County.
That's correct. Yeah, we're just booming. We've already done more business this year than we did all last year. And, solar is a fun topic. People want to talk about it.
Sure.
They're interested in it. How does it work? What can it do for me? So, yeah, it's a great thing. I used to sell insurance and investments, and when I would tell people that, I'd get the, the cross get away from me, this evil person. And it's not true with solar. So it's fun.
Funny how that turns, huh?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So help our listeners to understand, and this may sound kind of rudimentary, and you might be asking, so why are you asking this? But get us in the know in terms of what exactly, break it down for us. What exactly is solar and how does it work?
Okay. Well, it's actually pretty simple. Solar is simply the ability to take the sun's irradiance that is produced by the sun and convert it into a electrical current. Mm-hmm. And that is done normally with a what they call a polysilicon cell. And when sunlight hits the material, it starts flowing electricity. In fact, that concept was found out about back in the 1850s, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So it's hard to believe that concept's been around that long ago.
Just underutilized for 150 years.
Yeah, Tim and I actually had that conversation on the way to the studio this morning.
Yeah, a little bit. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's funny, on my emails, I have a quote from Thomas Edison back in 1931. He says, if I can remember it correctly, something about what a power source sun is. He says, I hope we don't wait until gas and oil becomes too expensive where we look at it. So he knew about solar way back then.
That is funny.
Wow.
But anyway, getting back to your question, when sun hits the cell, it produces electricity. It flows in one direction called direct current, very much like what you get in a battery. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is the power that is provided to our homes is an alternating current. It flows back and forth.
Gotcha.
So the electricity from the modules, or the panels, what a lot of people call them, goes into what's called an inverter, and it changes the DC current into alternating current. And then we just simply put another solar breaker onto, or a backfeed breaker onto your electrical panel, and the current flows right into there. The great thing is the inverter keeps that voltage a little bit higher than what you get from PG&E. So it forces your home to use the solar electricity first before you pull from the grid.
Therein lies
that's as difficult as solar is.
Wow.
You just shared a secret.
That was a secret. Did you know, huh? And I bet you there's a lot of folks out there that did not know that just keep it a little bit higher and it forces it to use that first.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So why do you think it is that this time, more than any other time, that solar, whether you're a homeowner, whether you're a business, that you're choosing to install solar?
A couple of things. Part of the main thing that I come up the most against is people still are under the impression solar is expensive, and it's not. The price for the modules that I have to purchase have dropped 70% in the past 2.5 years.
Wow.
So the price for the product has dropped drastically. And on the other hand, our utilities continue to increase their electric rates on a rapid basis. In fact, PG&E's had an increase in January and February this year alone.
Mm-hmm.
So with the continuing increase in utilities, the drop in solar, we've actually, depending on which type of financing you do, we've actually hit what's called grid parity, where your cost for your electricity from solar is at or less than what you pay for PG&E.
And let's face it, really, after what we collectively have been through in the Valley for the last 5 or 6 years, thinking about solar may be perceived to some folks, you know what, that's the last thing that I need to be bare bones. That's the last thing that I need to think about because I don't want to get caught up in what I was caught up in before, which may have been a little in a little overindulgence. They may have lost a home. They may have short sold a home. Mm-hmm. But that's where, and I think that's why we're having the conversation this morning, that's where we really need to rip the Band-Aid off and make sure that folks understand this is not a novelty, nor is it something that is, and I can't think of the word right at the moment, but this is not something that...
It's not a fad.
Yeah, it's not a fad.
It's not going away.
It's not going away. This is a way that we can harness something right at the moment that shines most every day. As Glenn said, it rises every single day.
There isn't a day I can remember where the sun did not come up. As long as it's coming up, you're making money.
Or triple your money back.
That's right.
Well, and I find it interesting. I mean, it's a staple. Energy is a staple, like milk is a staple. And if we found a cheaper, more effective way to produce milk, we'd be doing it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, our cattle guys would be doing it. So I just find it really interesting that we have yet to kind of take this to full capacity as a country and focus on how we can, capitalize on the energy efficiency of it.
So having been what we've been through, real quick,
dollars
went through the housing crash, the market crash in 2008. Then we're talking about why has it been that all of a sudden we are really forcing ourselves to look at all these different sources as far as electric cars, solar? Well, because bottom line is we need to get our act together in terms of just conserving. When it comes right down to it, solar isn't a passing fad, nor is it something that when it comes time for, like you had said, you've reached grid parity. So now it's a situation where, and I think the example that you had used before, if your solar bill, and you want to save money on your current PG&E bill, if your PG&E bill is currently $250, you can construct something that your solar bill is roughly $200. You're saving roughly $600 a year after installing your solar panels or solar modules.
It's zero out of pocket, doesn't cost you a thing. And the great thing about that is also your solar payment, however you choose to finance it, has a finite term. So in a certain period of time, it's going to be done. Mm-hmm. If you don't go solar, I mean, when does your utility bill stop? Never. As long as you own a house.
Yeah, no kidding. You don't even have to own a house. I mean, renters out there are paying it too. So
until they dig the hole and start throwing dirt on top, that's when your utility bill stops.
Right.
Well, exactly.
And the problem right now is a lot of the clients we deal with is their utility bill is really a second mortgage. I mean, a lot of us are...
That's an interesting take. That is an interesting take that you say that.
Yeah, I mean, the average consumer probably has a $300 a month PG&E bill. I mean, we deal with lots of clients where they're $800 to $1,000 a month.
Ouch.
Well, I'll tell you, I can't retire on that kind of payment on a PG&E bill. My average electric bill is $28. I can retire on that.
Wow.
And that's one reason I'm solar, because I don't want to work forever, so...
So you had mentioned zero down. Mm-hmm. Instant savings or potentially instant savings, depending upon the type of system that because you had told us what you try to design is first and foremost, what's your goal in terms of the consumer?
We want to offer them what they're looking for,
yes.
And sometimes it takes a little bit of work to help them understand what they're looking for. So I don't want to come to a client and tell them this is what you need. We want to find out what is their goal, and then we design for it.
You feel that potentially some folks out there, that's their business model. In other words, some other companies that's kind of how they roll?
Yes. There's some of the larger companies that come in and basically have a business model just to take off the top upper tiers, leaving your electric bill maybe $50 to $100 a month. We can zero it out if you want. Speaking from my own experience, when I installed my system 5-6 years ago, it was at the time made sense for me to leave a $50 a month electric bill.
Right.
So I was paying $600 a year at the end. Well, I'll tell you, 2 years later, I was sick and tired of paying $600. So I added more modules and I got rid of it.
Yeah.
So I personally don't understand that. Right now, today's today's market with the pricing, the financing, and the tax credits, to me it makes sense to zero
Why
it out.
not?
I mean,
Why
just get
not?
rid of your bill. Put a fixed payment on it, so at some point it stops, and then you got free power.
I'm sorry. Is
go
there a
ahead.
point where PG&E would owe you money?
Sure. Day one, when it turns on, any excess power that goes back to the grid, they have to pay you at the same rate they charge you. So we do some things to
Stick it to him, Tim.
I'm just trying to figure out how I can make some money on the deal.
But it's an investment. The minute that system is turned on, you are making money. When the sun comes up, you're making money.
It makes you wonder at some point. I'm sorry I have to ask this question, but it makes you wonder at some point. Do you think the government's ever going to? What?
I agree with
ever
you.
Ever going to legislate?
Trying to behave here.
It depends on how much stock they have in the company, right?
Well, yeah.
Legislate that you've got to go solar.
It's already there under new homes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an option or is it a mandate? I'm curious.
Right now, 50%, and the date is I'm not coming up with this point, but there's already mandated where new homes, if it's a production builder, 50% of them have to be offered. You have to have solar as an option.
So production builder meaning subdivisions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as an option, not installed. In other words,
it has to be offered as an option.
It has
an
to be
option.
offered,
right?
But it doesn't mean that you
so
have
you
to
don't
have
have to
50% of those homes actually installed.
No,
right?
No,
which makes you ask the next question. So, at what point are they going to mandate that there has to be some certain threshold in terms of you have to have so many?
Yeah. Well, now that if I remember correctly, it's 2030, I believe, is where the new homes will have to be zero net energy. And the only way you're going to attain that is with solar of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it doesn't mean the house can't use any energy. It just means at the end of the year, it has to put back the energy that it used during that period of time. So that's already in place.
Wow.
That's already in place.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're
Welcome,
building a
brave new
home
world.
right now, what did you say?
I said, welcome, brave new world.
Yeah, I mean, if you're building a home, whether it's custom or community, this is something you should be looking at just for the long term. And you just mentioned somebody in your network who had sold a house 4 days because one of the features they had that the neighbor didn't have who had their house on the market was solar, which eliminates that electric bill.
Right. Well, part of what I try to tell people, and I've spoke to real estate agents before, is personally I would put solar on to sell the home. For example, we have a gentleman that's had solar on for a year and a half. He had a 2-story home. Something's happened with his wife and as far as medical, and she's not able to go up the steps anymore, so they needed to sell their home. He sold it in 4 days.
Wow.
And the reason for that is his electric bill is zero. So if all of your neighbors have a $300 to $500 PG&E bill, yours is zero, how much more could the person come in and pay you for that home because you got an extra $300 to $500 a month to pay for an increase in mortgage? I mean, you can make that money back real quick.
Most definitely. And I tell you what, this is, and I don't want to say an ongoing argument, but we are headed in the direction. The more homes that we see that have solar installed on them, it's going to be of greater top of mind awareness, perception that we need to be. The question will come sooner than later. Well, does it have solar?
Right.
It'll be a question like, does it have a pool? How many bedrooms does it have? Does it have solar? And that, slowly but surely, that question is going to be inching its way up the questionnaire in terms of what's most important to a consumer. And the more it does, what you're going to see is that it's going to help garner, just like in this particular situation, a higher net, a higher price in terms of the market. It's going to affect the marketability as it did with this particular individual. Bottom line is it will help you sell your home much quicker and for a higher sales price.
Well, and what about those investors out there who buy and hold?
Sure.
What a great selling point. I don't care whether you're holding an apartment complex or a house or what have you. You have the ability to tell those renters that they are not going to have an electric bill?
Right.
Wowzers. I mean, what a selling point that would be.
And don't think that as the market continues to saturate as far as investment properties are concerned, that there's going to be pressure that's going to be put back, or it's going to be downward pressure put back on all those investors in order to fill those properties. And that's something that they are going to have to look at as well, is whatever they can do. Next thing you know, it's solar, free Wi-Fi. I mean, there's going to be all sorts.
Right. Of incentivizing.
Oh, boy.
Well, and my question to you would be, do you do industrial? Or do you do commercial properties at this point, or is that something that's down the road possibly?
Well, actually, we have another division with our company. We're up and down the state of California all the time putting in solar on brand new low-income housing apartment complexes.
Okay.
So that is already in process. We're doing a ton of those.
Good.
In
Good
there.
deal.
But one thing I wanted to mention about last year, University of Berkeley did a study on what was the average increase in resale on a home, and they found that home with solar increased value by $17,000.
Wow.
That's something that they did. Now, where that area was, I don't know, but that's the report that they came out with.
Wow. Well, to our listeners, have we piqued your curiosity? Have we got your attention? Well, call Arise Solar at 449-8989 and tell them that you heard it on the Real Estate Radio Network, or use press 4 keyword Arise Solar to request a free, no-obligation quote on how you can put solar to work for you. If you have any real estate or real estate financing-related questions, or questions that you regarding the information that you hear on the show, call us anytime on our off-air number at 800-979-3958. We would love to hear from you. You can also check out our resources online, or you can listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network on YouTube by going to our website at reofresnohomes.com, or to friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords, friend Valleywide on Facebook. Or use press 4 keyword
KMJ, call Valleywide.
to get connected to us anytime.
I was with you that time.
You were. We would love to hear from you. Well, after the break, we're going to continue with Glenn Siemens, the owner and CEO of Arise Solar. Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valleywide Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valleywide Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at reofresnohomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals of Valleywide Homes to work for you.
Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, as we mentioned before the break, we've got Glenn Siemens, owner and CEO of Arise Solar from Clovis here in the studio with us. Glenn, real quick question. At what point should our listeners really consider going solar?
Excellent question. It's there's a lot of different reasons why people go solar. If you're looking strictly monetarily, I would say probably if your electric bill is $150 to $180 on average, then you would probably be pretty much a wash on going over to solar. Anything above that, you're going to be cash flow positive.
Gotcha.
We have had some clients that have actually gone solar, not necessarily much for the savings, but they hate their utilities. They want to lock in some kind of pricing. They don't want to have the rates going up anymore. There's a lot of different reasons why they want to do it. They want to just be green. So
is it a fair statement to say that, as you just mentioned, that if your bill is in excess of $200 a month, then it makes and north of that, it makes more and more sense to really truly sit down and talk to you folks and look into going solar?
Yeah, I don't understand how people can afford not to go solar.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a misconception again of maybe they've looked at it 2 or 3 years ago and the pricing wasn't right or the financing wasn't there. But that's not as it is today.
Well, you just made the comment. Your costs on the specifics of it have come down. So that means
70%?
Yeah, so that means your clientele's cost is coming down as they're installing as well.
Correct.
So we made the decision as a consumer that, hey, it makes dollars and cents to go solar. How affordable is it, and what are the ways in which a consumer can look to finance it?
Okay. Well, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. We always take cash, of course.
Cash is still king.
I haven't turned one of those down yet. You can do that. You can also use equity in your home if anyone has that left. You can do an equity loan. You can also do an unsecured loan. EECU here's got a great solar loan that's unsecured, 6.5% for 15 years, up to $40,000. So that's a great loan there. You can also lease the system residentially. You can also do things that are called power purchase agreements on residents. Personally, I haven't seen those power purchase agreements work too well on a residence. They're more for commercial stuff.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of wide varieties of financing vehicles that are available out there.
Gotcha. Good deal. And typically the term as far as leasing's concerned is typically how many years?
Normally it's about 20 years for a lease. And if you're going to look at a lease, you really want to look at the lease document versus what your salesperson tells you.
Gotcha.
A lot of times those can be two totally different things. So you definitely would want to look at the lease agreement and read it before you sign it.
Important to stay informed.
Right.
It's like reading the note on your mortgage. Make sure that you read all the fine print, right?
Right.
And then what happens at the end of the lease?
Well, one of the great things of going with a lease, I never used to believe in leasing. My dad always told me it was better to pay cash for something than it is to, in a sense, rent it. I used to feel that way until I'm going to have to plug SunPower. SunPower came out with a lease. We're an elite dealer for them. Their lease totally revolutionized what I saw, the solar leasing. And one of the great things of going with a lease is now you get a 20-year financing tool, and since you don't own it, the lease company does. So what they'll do with that is they'll give you a 20-year warranty on the complete system.
Oh, wow.
So if anything happens, anything goes wrong, they cover it for the 20 years, and they also give you a 20-year production warranty. So they're promising that the system's going to put out what we say it's going to put out over for the 20 years. Versus if you paid cash for it, you're going to get about a 10-year system installation warranty, and then after that, you're sort of on your own.
Wow.
So there's a lot of advantages to going with a lease now in that situation.
What were you going to say, Michelle?
When the lease is up,
Yeah.
what happens to the agreement?
Okay. Again, there's many different ones. I'll talk about the one that I'm most familiar with, which is the SunPower lease. With that one, what happens is at the end of the lease, you can say, I don't want it anymore, and they'll come back and take it off. Or take the system off. I wouldn't recommend that.
No, I wouldn't.
Because if your bill is $300, like for example, I was at a client's house this morning. His average bill was $338 a month. If PG&E increases its rate at 5% per year, which it's done way more than that, but if it only goes up 5% in 20 years, his payment of $335 will be $869 a month.
Wowzers.
In 20 years.
Ow.
So the system we gave him in 20 years, his electric bill will be $13.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is if you say, okay, I don't want the lease anymore, we're going to take it off. Well, all of a sudden now he's got an $869 electric bill. You're trying to be retired. How do you afford that?
Right.
So that's really not a viable option at that point to take it off.
Most definitely.
So the second one would be okay, well, I'd like to keep the lease going. With SunPower's lease, it goes monthly, versus where most of the other ones, they lock you into a 20-year lease period again.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to lock in another 20 years.
Right.
So theirs goes monthly. What that payment is, I don't know. It just goes into a monthly contract.
I gotcha. Okay.
The third thing is you can say, I'd like to purchase the system.
Okay.
So what they then do is they send an appraiser out, and whatever the fair market value is, that's what you'd pay on
Of
the system.
Okay.
And the fourth thing is, which I love about their lease, it actually says this in the document, that they'll give you the system. Now, I don't believe they'll do that because anything that takes if you take it off your house and your bill goes up to $869 versus
Right.
$13 now, that has some kind of value to it.
Sure.
There's got to be some cost that I would imagine that they want for it.
Associated,
But
sure.
on the other hand, it's going to be a
But
20-year-old
there
solar
sounds like
system.
there's several options.
Yes.
then. So when people sign on, fearful of the 20-year ending, probably isn't something that they should be too concerned about, because it sounds like there's multiple things that they'll have the choice to do.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, personally, if I bought today, I would lease it. I would actually do what's called a prepaid lease, and I'd have no electric bill and no lease payment for 20 years.
Can the system then be moved? Let's say you sell that house and you want to take the solar system with you. Can you move it?
If you lease it, no. You can purchase it or have the new client sign it over, but it would stay with the system. If you purchased it outright, though, we can then relocate it. We do that a lot for other clients. We take it from one house and move it to the next.
But just for the sake of argument, and I apologize, just for the sake of argument, real quick, though, at whatever point in time, if you were 8 years into that particular system, at that point in time, you would think a couple different things. Hopefully, the home values have recovered sufficiently here in the valley that you have quote unquote equity. That a buyout in a system of that particular size would make greater sense. The marketability or leverage that you get from selling that property with that system on it would make even more sense at that point in time. And with all the technological advances that you would see, the price of the modules decreasing like you've seen within the last 5 or 6 years, that at that point in time you would have a much more efficient module, hopefully a lower price point, and that you would want solar on your new home. So you're able to leverage it upon the exit of that home, as well as now I'm going into a new property. I've got a little equity left over after I've sold that property because I got it into contract in 6 days and I sold it for 5% more than the same property down the street without solar, and I'm able to get a much more efficient system at a lower price point, across town or wherever it is I'm relocating to.
Correct. Yeah, and if you had solar, you're going to have solar. I mean, one of the reasons that
once you go solar, you never go back.
It sounds like those folks with pools. Once they have a pool, they never want to live without one in Fresno. Yeah.
Well, as real estate agents, I mean, how many homes do you sell that have solar on it?
Right.
You really don't sell many because people don't want to sell. I mean, my bill's $28 a month. I'm not moving.
Right.
I mean, sorry.
And let me tell you, if you were selling your house right at the moment, Glenn, you sure would be leveraging that with your agent.
Yeah.
All this and only a PG&E bill of $28 a month.
Yeah, that blows me away. It really does. That's awesome.
Oh, wow. So, again, just to clarify, you may or may not have to pay the utility company, depending upon the size of the system, or the utility company may end up paying you if you've got a big enough system on your house, and also based upon your usage.
Yeah. That's probably that one question there we could do a whole nother show on. But, for example, we got a true-up bill from one of our clients, or from one of my clients this morning. One of the things we do is we go back a year later and we ask people to send us what their ending bill is a year later, and we confirm that with what we told them. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure they're experiencing what we told them. His complete electric bill for 1 year was $119.
For the 12 months.
For the 12 months.
Nice.
And he lives in this huge home way out off Copper. I mean, it's a very nice home. And his bill's $119 a year.
Nice.
Wow.
So just think what he can do with the other cash now.
Yeah.
So is there any maintenance that the homeowner needs to do once the modules are installed? I mean, what do they do as far as upkeep on?
I don't like heights, and I really don't want to get up there and be
the spider crawl.
The spider crawl, and
scared.
No.
The only maintenance is keeping them clean. If you are told that the system includes maintenance and will take care of it, all that kind of stuff, I'm sorry to say that's really a sales ploy. The only thing you got to do is keep the modules clean. You can do it yourself. You can also hire solar cleaning companies to come out and clean it. You need to clean it at least once a year. If you don't, you lose 7% production.
Sounds like a chimney sweep.
Yeah. So,
same type of thing.
Right. So do it, I would say, probably twice a year.
Okay.
Most companies are going to charge you on an average system probably $50.
Okay.
They'll come out and clean it. And,
wow.
So me hosing it off isn't sufficient, is what you're saying.
No, you're... Yeah,
but I stood on the ground. No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fresno is hard water. You don't want to just spray it on there and leave it.
I can picture this. You're standing on the ground on the side of the house going, I think I got it. I
washed my car. Now let's wash my shoulder.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Sorry.
Preventive maintenance helps to ensure that your system is running efficiently and collecting all the sunlight and generating all the electricity that it can.
Right.
Talk about real quick, and I know we talked about this before, but talk about on the days where it's not as sunny, because we're all talking averages as far as the year is concerned. Certain times of the year when your electric usage is lower, like during the wintertime, it's not always sunny every single day. Talk about that and how solar works during the wintertime.
Okay, that's a great question. Again, that has a lot to do with, number one, the quality of the modules that you install on your roof. That's one reason you want to know about the power plant that's being put on there. How does that panel put out power when there isn't much sun. So, again, sun power is going to exceed in that area. But you do get what we call to lower irradiance. But what happens during the summertime, you put out a lot of power, so you're going to generate a lot of credits, and then the credits are going to be used up during the winter months when you're not producing as
A little
much.
savings plan.
Yeah, so it's a give and take. So that's why the utilities put you on what's called a true-up bill. So when you go solar, and we're actually able to turn your system on, you do not make an electric payment for one complete year. Wow. So you'll have months where you owe them, and they'll have some months where they owe you, and that you true it up at the end of 1 year.
Nice.
What a deal.
Yeah.
You guys, we're all going to get solar now, aren't we?
Do we trust PG Neil to do the billing correctly?
Yeah.
hey.
Well, funny you bring that up.
I'm being facetious, but I'm also being honest.
Little bit of everything you
He's a
say,
real
Timmer.
trusting guy, can you tell?
If you don't like the smart meter, when you go solar, they have to put a bi-directional on, which is back to the old meter. So the smart meter will be removed. That's not true in Southern Cal Edison territory, but in PG&E, it's you lose your smart meter.
Wow. Well, I am sure we have, again, piqued your attention. Call Arise Solar at 449-8989 and tell them that you heard it on the Real Estate Radio Network. Or use press 4 keyword.
KMJ, Arise Solar.
Actually,
You're changing it.
No, it's Arise Solar. Press 4 keyword Arise Solar to request a free, no obligation quote on how you can put solar to work for you. Again, if you have any real estate or real estate financing related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, call us anytime on our off-air number at 800-979-3958. Or you can also check out our resources online. You can listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network on YouTube by going to our website at reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keyword Friend Valleywide on Facebook, or use press 4 keyword
KMJ, call Valleywide.
to get connected to us anytime. We'd so love to hear from you. Well, after the break, we are going to continue our conversation about solar with Glenn Siemens, the owner and CEO, head cook, bottle washer. You do it all, don't you, Glenn?
Not anymore. I finally graduated.
You finally graduated, hired a few folks to help out in that territory. There you go. Make sure that you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valleywide help. Valleywide Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958, and put the seasoned professionals at Valleywide Homes to work for you. Valleywide Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, we're continuing our conversation with Glenn Siemens, the owner and CEO of Arise Solar, here in the studios with us today.
It's my turn now.
Yeah, read it. Yes, student, your hand's up.
I want to know, is all solar the same? Because I hear so many things out there in the public, lots of different sources of information. So is all solar the same?
Well, if you're talking about solar company or solar manufacturers, yes, except for one. There's about 500 module manufacturers out there worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of them.
That's a lot.
You scared Greg.
They all produce...
Am I the only one that's impressed? or maybe not impressed, but astonished. That's a lot of manufacturers.
It is. It is. But there's only one SunPower company. And the reason I bring that up is their cell that produces the electricity is manufactured 180 degrees different than anything else. So that cell will put out a whole lot more power in a smaller area when it's really hot versus anything else. So it's a little bit more expensive, yes, but it puts out a whole lot more power.
Hold on.
Here we go.
I'm getting confused.
Here's Miss
Sorry,
Clarity.
Okay. When you say to me there's 500 manufacturers of solar, what exactly does that mean
That
to
is
me?
a panel.
To solar panels.
Yeah,
so
the
to the pieces that collect the sun.
Yeah, the modules.
Yeah, there's a cell inside a module. Like normally you'll have anywhere from 60 to 72 cells inside a panel. I keep calling them modules. That's a real term for them, but everyone knows them as panels.
But then earlier, so hold right there. Just want to make sure I have it clear. And now earlier you discussed conversion of that into power.
Into AC power.
So that's the difference. The thing that's converting it is made by one company?
No.
That's an inverter.
Oh.
Okay, I'm talking about the actual product that converts.
The collectors.
There's 500 of those. I got that part.
Up on the roof.
Right.
Those panels.
Right, and those have different efficiencies. Okay, and the efficiency rating is how well it converts the sunlight into electricity.
I see.
Okay, you can get those down in what's called thin film, which is that a couple years ago that was going to be wave of the future, super cheap, blah blah blah. Well, those are about maybe 8 to 9% efficient.
Okay,
as far as the conversion rate, and what that means is they convert, say, 8 to 9% of the solar irradiance into electricity that hits it.
I see.
Okay, so you can go from that all the way up to a SunPower cell that is, or a SunPower module that's 20% efficient.
And that's the kind you distribute.
That's a SunPower cell. The traditional ones, the 499 others, those efficiencies are anywhere from about 14 to maybe 17% efficient.
Okay.
And the reason that's so important is because the more efficient the cell is, the cooler it becomes, and the cooler the module is, the more power it will put out, contrary to what popular belief is.
Oh, wow.
So you want that panel as cool as possible to produce more electricity, especially when it's 109 degrees out, like we had the other day.
Right.
Because when your AC's running, you want your solar system putting out as much power as possible. Well, if you have what we call a traditional cell, it's 14% efficient. It's dropping off its ability to produce electricity huge when it's really hot. The SunPower module is not. It doesn't drop off it as much. It's producing a whole lot more power over the life of the system on that. And so that's what I was talking about as far as efficiencies and the importance of the product.
So when someone is shopping or looking into maybe new construction or other avenues, maybe they're doing a custom build on a house, etc., and they're looking at all the options, other than calling a Rise Solar, which I know I would do, what would they be looking for when they're shopping, say, online in different places for their information? Is it that number? Are they required to share that number or no?
Well, it's there, but solar is unlike, you don't, trust me, when you're putting an electric power generating plant on your house for the next 30 years, you don't want to buy that the cheapest. You're going to get what you pay for.
Amen. I love that. Thank you for saying that, because
I saw the light go off.
Totally agree with you.
You've got to look at value and quality that you're putting on there.
Sure, and the longevity of the unit and et cetera.
Right. I mean, trust me, I can put a system in real cheap, but you're going to be calling me 4 years later because stuff isn't working right and it's breaking down. So our concept is to put something on your house that's going to last you 30 years, and I don't want to get a phone call from you again. So you've got to...
Well, you do, but you want it to be a success story.
Yeah, exactly.
But Glenn, you're my best buddy. With all the money that we're spending, I'm going to take you out to some golf.
So I forgot where I'm going with this, but anyway.
Sorry.
No, quality versus cost. I mean, really,
So,
we got to look at the efficiency of it.
Yes,
and
you
what
can
makes
certainly
sense for you.
look at those.
Sure.
So, and maybe we can talk about that in another program, but...
I'm not asking you to say the other guys are great. Don't worry. I'm not trying to get you to advertise for the other guys. No, but I think there's a lot to be said as far as you want your dollars to work effectively is really, I think, what you're saying.
What I would do is we are not the sole SunPower dealer in the area. But if you want to have a company that can show you the cheapest and also the best, then I would contact a SunPower dealer because they have the ability to give you the best. Then they also can have the ability to bring in what everyone else does. So at least you can deal with one company that, okay, maybe I have $15,000 to spend and that's all I can spend, and then they can show you both. Or you can go with this one, a Chinese module if you want here, or you can get the best and this is what it is.
Gotcha. So in terms of the process, just before we're getting ready to wrap up here, the process is this. contact you, Glenn. First step, got to give you a call. Second thing is sitting down with you, doing a consultation, educating the consumer, finding out really what their goals are. What are they wanting to try to accomplish? And then the next thing is you do a home visit and inspect the actual property, correct?
Yeah, well, we throw some numbers at them, see if it makes sense for them. And if it does, then we go the next step and, and show them, confirm the numbers that we have actually work for their home and go from there.
And then if they choose to go ahead, sign the contract, and then it's installation day.
Correct.
Or days.
Correct, yeah.
And can I just say, as we walked in the studio, there's someone in this building he's working on right now, which I thought was very cool.
They can sing the praises of Arise Solar.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
There you go. Well, again, call Arise Solar at 449-8989 and tell them that you heard it on the Real Estate Radio Network. Or use press 4 keyword
Arise Solar
to request a free, no-obligation quote on how you can put solar to work for you. If you have any real estate or real estate financing related question, guys, we'd love to hear from you, or just questions regarding the information on the show. Right, Michelle?
That's right.
Call us anytime on our off-air number at 800-979-3958. Or you can also check out our resources online. You can also listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network on YouTube by going to our website at reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keyword
Friend Valleywide on Facebook.
Or use press 4 keyword
KMJ, call Valleywide.
Well, you got that down to a fine science to get connected to us.
Pretty soon I'm going to start singing You're My Sunshine.
I know. We would love to hear from you. Well, I tell you what, a big thank you to Glenn Siemens, owner and CEO of Arise Solar. Glenn, thanks so much for getting up early with us this morning and sharing all of your expertise about solar. Again, if you'd like to talk to Glenn, 449-8989. A big thank you to Michelle Pettis-Cavalli as well as Tim O'Hare. Timmer, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today.
Anytime.
It was great.
Anytime.
Awesome.
Learned a lot today.
You guys will come back, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. And big thank you to Johnny B. Johnny, you always make us sound so good. Again, our goal at the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back home.
Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Sunday at 7 a.m. on 105.9, the FM KMJ. We will see you again next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.